Howdy.
Hello.
I'm just getting it set up.
There we go. All right, welcome everybody. Let's get this started to the August 11th Easthampton Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Just got a note here. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by accessing the Zoom link in the agenda. We will post a record of this meeting on the Easthampton Media website as soon as we are able. Thank you. We got no one here for public speak. We do have the minutes from the last meeting, and I didn't see anything off about them myself. I don't know if there were any other corrections to be made.
One minor correction, it's listed as the Eric Campbell Memorial, and it should be the Ben Campbell.
Oh, goodness. Where is that written?
Hold on, sorry.
Yeah, where is that? So I can.
Yep, let me just. My apologies.
It's under programming Camp Nonotuck.
Yes,
the last
yeah.
sentence.
Oh, got it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yep.
Good catch. I'll make that a correction for Andy and take care of that. Thank you.
Okay. Do we want to approve this as amended? Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
Eric moves. Me to
I'll second then.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Sure.
So on the motion to approve the last meeting minutes, we'll do a roll call vote here. Bob?
Yep.
Great. Eric?
Yes.
Jim?
Aye. Yep.
All right. And I'm in favor as well. Okay. So our June meeting minutes are approved as amended. Thank you, Eric. That's a good catch.
I mean, there is an Eric, but
Right.
he does
right.
have a bench.
Right.
So let's go on to 2021 park rentals. What do you have for us, John?
Yeah, so everything's going well with rentals. No major issues. Millside, we've had some events at Millside already. Smaller things, 25, 30 people, rentals. So all good on that front. So not much to report on that.
Oh, that's good. What about the Millside Park capacity?
So Mill Pond last meeting was approved for 1,200 person capacity. And then they came back about a week ago and are looking to add 300 to make it 1,500 capacity, if the commission would consider that. And they also mentioned to me that currently there's not a mask mandate for the shows, but that is on the table for them, that they may be requiring, no matter who attends, masks will be required. And the city, the way it's going, could have that be as a mandate as well already. So we'll see, how the Board of Health has put out a strong advisory, but no mandates as of yet for indoors. So we'll see how things shake out with numbers and things like that. But I told them I would present that to you guys, that they're interested in adding 300 more to make it 1,500 total capacity for Millside for this year.
Were they planning on serving anything at these events or having food trucks or alcohol?
Yeah, they're gonna have food trucks, alcohol, the whole 9 yards, the usual.
So just quick question, John. So I'm just curious. So it seemed like last time when we approved the 1,200, that had been the result of, multiple meetings between public safety people, Millside, the mayor's office, et cetera. So it seemed like that was the number that they all collaboratively landed on. I guess I'm just curious where the request for the extra 300 is coming from and if that's been discussed more widely.
No, the mayor referred them. They approached the mayor referred them directly to us, saying they've already met on this and they've come up with 1,200 and we've collectively come up with 1,200, but you're more than welcome to ask. They're asking for the 300 more because of the demand is there. Because they are supplying tickets, there is a demand for well over 1,500 for the event. So that's the angle they're coming from, is based on demand already for the shows.
And there's staff to cover that kind of crowd, or they get their own people to.
They have their own security. There's a police detail there as well that's required as part of it. We post our own security up there, just to have a good understanding of what's going on, and if there's any major issues with park maintenance type stuff, they can reach out to us right away, and we can handle anything in an emergency. We would try.
John, I think it's kind of hard to picture that number of people there in that size space. Is there any measurement that we have that's like, oh, that's this many people per square feet type?
So that's kind of why we went with 1,200, is to get a good idea of what 1,200 people look. We've heard of numbers because they have, this is how many people came in, came out. They've tracked numbers that way, but getting a set number in there, and it's like, okay, this is what 1,200 looks like. Boy, it looks like it's elbow to elbow, or boy, it looks like there's a lot of room to roam around, and they could do another 300. So that was all part of the initial meeting on this discussion with public safety in the mayor's office.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't want to sound difficult, but I mean, I guess I had sort of wished that there had been more of a discussion with public safety officials around this, rather than just saying, well, the demand has led to us asking for 300 more person capacity. It feels a little arbitrary, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I just said I would present it to you guys. It's I know there, like you said, Eric, there were a lot of preliminary discussions and map, looking at square footage for the map from the planning sent along, and picturing where certain things are going. So like you said, arbitrary 300 more is, who knows what it looks like.
Yeah, and I guess I sort of echo Paul's question or concerns of like, what does, I mean, if this is our first time doing it and 1,200 was the number that everyone landed on, I'm tending to be leaning towards like, well, let's see what 1,200 looks like, Yeah,
I mean, that was the number that was put in place. So, there's no pressure to add 300, it's just, like I said, I told them I would definitely present the ask for them.
And this is that one event thing, the Thunder people, or?
No, this is the Mill Pond Live group. Thunder in the Valley is not at Millside this year.
And are they doing it over 1 weekend now? Is that how I understand it? So it's like a Friday night and a Saturday night?
That's correct. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, it's the public safety officials that were the ones I think came up with the 1,200 number to begin with. And they're not going to pull out if they don't get 1,500, right? They wanted 1,200. That's a good number of people.
Yeah, and I tend to feel like if public safety had been consulted and they said yes, 1,500 is the number that we agree on, then it would be like, yeah, okay, let's do that, no problem. But I don't know, it's one of the most inarticulate sentences ever, but I feel like I made my points.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Okay, in favor of doing this, I would think we want to make people in the community happy.
Yep.
Outdoor events are much less likely to transmit, COVID from what we understand. And that is the primary concern behind any kind of capacity limitation here. Yeah. I suppose this is Mill Pond Live is a nice asset. It's a nice group. They, provide this programming every year. We like them. We want to have a positive relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem kind of just arbitrary. Like we already talked about this. We went through this process. We had settled on a number. And now that everything is in agreement and everything's all set, now they want to change it.
And was there a limit on them before? Was there ever a limit put on them before?
No, that's one of the things we wanted to take this opportunity to do is to look. I'm going to be there at Saturday's event for an hour or two on the 11th to do my own assessment as well on behalf of the department. So I will be there to take a look and see, whatever it's 1,200 or 1,500, whatever it is, but to see how I've been there before, but to see what the hard number is and what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
And it's not a one and done event. They're going to.
This year it's only one weekend.
Oh.
It's only the one weekend this year. And then they'll be back next year for, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. Hopefully.
Okay.
I mean, if we're thinking about this long, I think, all the discussion done previously at last meeting at 1,200 in public safety, then.
Right. I feel like everybody wants to be accommodating. Well, also, we already kind of settled on this, and the recommendation we had from public safety was 1,200. So, it's hard for
us
to
see. And is there
us
something
changing.
that'll happen if they violate it? I mean, if they just go and do this and it goes
They wouldn't
over,
do it.
is there some type of? Okay.
I wouldn't worry about them. They want to be a part of community events and things like that. They're a professional organization. They would not. I have no worries that they would not, try to cram in 1,800 people.
Okay.
If financially it would be difficult for them to pull the event off with only 1,200, that might be a more compelling factor. But that doesn't seem to be the case at all.
It didn't say financially anything about it. It just said demand for tickets. It was was the reason for the ask.
Okay. Well, how do you fellas feel about this?
Yes. The more the merrier.
And when is the event's coming? Soon or?
A month for September 10th and 11th.
Is it going to upset anybody at public safety if we did do this?
I don't think so. No, our main thing, we, like I said, we met on various things that included moving certain concession areas, moving the bike valet, adding lights in certain areas to make sure that there's no safety issues. So it was a lot of that discussion. It wasn't just about numbers. It was, okay, let's move this out of here because if we have to get ambulance, police vehicles or whatever into this area, we want to make sure we have a clear path, so it was kind of that and the number as well. So it was all inclusive about making sure when we have setups for Millside for large events, we make sure the organizers set it up in a way that meets the safety of everybody attending.
So I realize this might sound like passing the buck somewhat, but I'm wondering how folks would feel about, and if this is something we could do, to approve the increased capacity contingent upon approval from the Easthampton Fire and Police Department, because that's really,
I think
Okay.
that's a great idea.
that's really the
I-
bottom line for me. It's just that,
Good idea.
let's make sure
Great
that the
idea.
people who are in charge of public safety check off on it rather than us just making this decision. So
Yeah. Excellent.
I'll make
Great
that,
suggestion.
I'll make that motion then.
Yeah.
Great, Eric. All right, so Eric has
can
made a
handle it,
motion
yeah.
to approve the request to increase the capacity for Mill Pond live events from 1,200 to 1,500, contingent on the approval of such from public safety.
And is this just for this one time, or is it from here on in? It's 1,500,
No, so this
or
is.
we're going to revisit it?
Yeah, we're going to revisit it for next year. So when we go over our policies and procedures and things that we do in January and February's meetings.
Yep.
When we get a lay of the land, like, okay, all right, that 1,500, boy, there was definitely some room for people to
Mhm.
move around. You know, we can spot them $2,000 or 2,500 or whatever, or say
Mhm.
1,500. That was pretty tight. That was elbow to elbow. You know, that's the number. So that's where we're at. So this is for this year.
Okay.
Getting a good understanding, and then, because that was my whole thing with this, with public safety to begin with, was to get a grasp on what that area can handle for capacity, whether it's parking, congestion for traffic, public safety access, all those things that have to be considered. So
Okay. So there's a motion to do so, but we would need a second if we want to vote on that. Is there any more discussion or questions about this anybody might have? No. Bob, Jim? Okay. Does anyone want to second Eric's motion?
I'll second it.
Okay.
another double.
All right, so again, there's motion on the floor to approve the request to increase the capacity from 12 to 1,500, contingent on public safety also approving that number. We're going to do a roll call vote. As usual, we'll start with you, Bob.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Eric?
Yes.
Jim?
Yep.
Yep, okay, and I agree as well. So that is approved.
Perfect. Thank you.
Guys.
Programming in Camp Nonotuck. Camp Nonotuck only has 2 days left of it. It's been a very good season. The reduced numbers definitely helped the staff. We had about an 80% turnover in staff. The camp director definitely appreciated the reduced numbers, which was actually state mandate anyways, but to manage that, and it helped really things go really smooth this year. So I definitely want to thank the Camp Nonotuck director, Andrew Lawrence, and all the staff down there at camp that did a really nice job in kind of a fluid situation for summer this year. So I'm very pleased with how everything has turned out. They didn't get the pool, but we did have inflatables and water slides 2 days a week in the spray park running. Or I think they missed like 2 days. We had to shut it down for some emergency maintenance. But so they had a good summer. So I'm happy about that. Anybody have any questions about Camp Nonotuck or anything? Programming. So I have a co-ed softball meeting scheduled for in a couple of weeks for the fall. It looks like when we were shut down on numbers, a lot of teams, captains dissolved, teams dispersed. I even, in our initial letter, sent out that we reduced the cost for this year as kind of a welcome back to Easthampton for co-ed softball. So I reduced it by a third. Still seems like it's iffy whether we'll have a fall season. But we are pushing for that to try to get that back into the park. And then if not, we'll try, for the spring again next year and get folks back into playing softball and enjoying the nice fields that we have. Harvest Fest. So this year, because of how fluid and what's going on with everything, we're planning on doing a smaller late afternoon evening event, which would comprise of the bonfire, bringing the bonfire back, and setting up outdoor movie, a couple Halloween, like either Scooby-Doo Halloween or Charlie Brown. There's 4 or 5 Sam's been researching, so there's a few of those kind of cartoon type Halloween specials for, that we'd run for an hour. So we do the bonfire and then a movie in the park, and then still do the pumpkin carving judging contest where the pumpkins would come down and we'd award prizes for that. So that is scheduled for October 9th. We're still going to kind of, because we don't have to get we don't have to worry about getting vendors or anything. Everything's going to be in-house. We're probably going to wait till around September 1st, first week of September, a month before to make an official announcement to the city about what's going on that. So it's on for now. We're planning, we're moving forward. We're, getting the wood, we're getting all those kinds of things. We've already secured, we have the projector in-house. I have an outdoor screen myself that I'm going to bring, a 16-footer, that inflatable one for the event. So those kind of things are already taken care of. So it's just our time that if it doesn't happen, we're not wasting a lot of dollars or things like that on the event. So we'll plan on that.
All right.
Anything on any of those?
You gonna do a dog show?
So I haven't heard anything about the dog show. We'd be more than happy to have that in the morning and do our thing and help out.
Cat show.
Yeah, Eric wants a cat show. So we haven't heard anything about that, but we, as usual, if it does present, we are going to provide resources and help for whatever. That's a really worthwhile program that they run, and we once again would help out any way that we could for that event. So we usually hear from them next couple weeks, usually just before September, right around September 1st, they reach out to us on that. Budget season, so far so good. The new mower that you guys approved last meeting is on site. They've been using it, love it. The cemetery department thanks you immensely for that. So we have 2 zero turns down there, and Brookside looks unbelievable. How nice of a job those guys are doing down there. It's really, really impressive. No parking signs I think they might even be in for that area down by the pond. That was one of Ron's final wishes. The commission was to get some no parking signs. So we have no parking signs that we'll install some point this month.
Cemetery Hill.
That keeps them away from that hill that's on the cemetery side. So, there are no parking signs down there that no one pays attention to, but like the police always say, that if there's no signs, there's no enforcement. So if it becomes really, a major issue, they can enforce it once the signs are in place. So they'll be put in this month. Spray park, like I said, we ran into some dollar items on that, getting that up and going. We had a major weld job that needed, we had an unattended spray park geyser from in the mechanic's well. So that was repaired, and once we took it out and had it repaired, I had the welder seal all our components, so we don't have this moving forward. So, we spent a lot of extra money to make sure this won't happen again anywhere else, but it was very labor intensive to pull it out. And we thought the best play was to get it completely redone while we have it out. So we're all set for years moving forward on that. And it is running. It's running very well, and it's getting a lot of use between camp and residents and other folks coming in and enjoying the park and the spray park, especially on days like today. Park facilities, Gagner Field, Little League approached. They kind of kicked it around and approached me about not using Gagner Field anymore for an official ball field, to kind of take it offline, maybe the infield, keeping the infield there. But looking at, because of the parking crunch down at Section 3, maybe consider, which I tend to agree with them that I've used it before, as this, as overflow parking in the outfield out there, where we'd open up those gates for cars. And so for big tournaments, things like that, we would actually allow parking on Gagner Field. And then they would not put any their resources into, having that field maintained, or we wouldn't be using many of our resources to maintain it. They haven't used it much, other than maybe if a team's waiting to play, they might go and take batting practice or do something on that field, but it really gets no play whatsoever. So it's not a thing for us to decide on tonight or anything like that, but I just wanted to put it on your radar screen that, looking at taking Gagner offline as an official ball field, and kind of make it maybe a hybrid between overflow parking and maybe a small practice area. The other thing I was thinking about is, like, when we get requests from Pavilion 3 users about, bounce houses and using a ball diamond for a family picnic game and stuff like that, we have that field right there and be like, yeah, Gagner's all yours. That's part of, your rental. You can grab it, put inflatables on it, have a, softball game, kickball, whatever you want. It kind of gives them some green space over that. And so could be kind of a selling point for that PAV 3 area as well. So just food for thought on that.
How often do you think it would potentially be used as a parking space? I'm just thinking about soil compression in the event that, like, we do want to utilize it as a ball field again. Like,
yeah, I would say probably, I don't know, 12, 16 times a year, a summer. So,
okay, that's a
definitely
lot.
it wouldn't be every week. There's not enough. We don't have enough action in there on a weekend basis during the summer. So you figure maybe one day out of the summer, between June, July, August, one weekend day. So, it's probably, like I said, 12 to 16 times.
John,
yeah,
can you tell that I worked for Georgia Meliga for many years when I'm using terms like soil compression?
Soil compression, exactly. So yeah, that's it. There's nothing too pressing on that. Just think about it. The only thing I would be concerned about is making sure that the field name is maintained. It was named by previous Park and Rec Commission people for a reason.
Yep.
And Little League, and to make sure the recognition of that area stays is important. Piece of this when we consider it.
All right.
I guess under old and continuing business, I would just like to say that Brian Hilpel put in for getting on the commission. and JT, Jason Terrell, the president of Little League, put on in for the commission. They both were moved forward into city subcommittee, which was held at 5 o'clock tonight. And then it goes back to city council for full approval. So I would say September 1st, we'd be welcoming 2 new members to the commission. So, we all know Brian and his legacy with his dad and what, and being the first house when you leave the park and having a watch fly in the park always helps. So Brian being considered as a huge asset, and JT, he really gets it. He understands, he works in the maintenance and the athletic facilities. For Williston, he understands the needs and the concerns we have for ball fields and things like that. Not just Little League is not his only focus. He really has a nice general overview of everything park related. So I think he would be a huge asset as well for the commission.
Great. Thanks for the update.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, is there any other business you'd like to address? Anybody?
I got a text from Owen about the dog park. I don't know if you want to know anything on that. Just revisiting that. So, looking back into overseeing what was picked before, going back and looking at the Oliver parcel, and just going back. So that's all. I don't know when the next meeting is, but
So
yeah, just let me know.
So Jim, that's actually something I did forget to mention, because it really is not us who's doing it, but heritage surveys for the city, because of an overall bike path and trail system for the new school, connectivity to downtown, things like that. They were in the park all last week doing a wetland survey for the park, which I think is huge to delineate where major wetlands are. I know where they are when you go down in there and see, but to actually have them on site putting a map together, and then so we can actually, draw circles around areas like this is wetlands, this can't be touched, things like that. So that, I don't know when that's coming out, but it's in the process. And then connected with that is a bike connectivity to the park, to the new school,
trail thing.
bike trail, rail trail, all those kind of things. So it's going to be
winter too.
We'll see. That's one of the discussions we had that I mentioned is, well, if you put we don't have any plows. If you put a bike path or a connective path from, say, the high school down through the park to the new school, who's going to be, are you going to buy us a new dump truck with a plow? We're looking at, $80,000.
Once you salt it, then you're saying it's safe to go on.
Exactly.
And then it's
on
your liability, and then you got salt going in the pond.
Yeah. So so Jim, I have mentioned that, and that has been as part of this discussion. Like, let's make sure we're aware of the issues that come with the maintenance that comes with that. And like you say, salting in areas, are we just going to put closed in the wintertime, usually your own risk, that kind of thing? They have to understand that we have to be thinking about this as a whole, not as, this would be really great, let's just put a bike path down there and we'll worry about it. So those questions I have raised and concerns to make sure they're addressed, and if they can be addressed, then perfect. We're all for it. And I'd love to have bike trails that connect into the new school and to the rail trail and things like that. I mean, it's just a win-win for downtown and all that. But like I said, there has to be a maintenance plan associated.
Oh, yeah.
Maintenance plan, dollar amount, and equipment and resources that are all included in that. So, yes, I've made that. Well, I'm well aware of those thoughts.
All right.
Yeah. That's
John, one thing that we had talked about months ago, I was just really excited about, was this idea of changing the entrance traffic pattern through Nonotuck Park. And I'm just wondering if there's any update on that, if that might actually be happening.
No update on that per se, other than Jeff Bagg from planning knows that's a really important idea for our department. Also, I think when we talk about potential bike tie-in, that is going to be in the discussion as well. So it hasn't been pushed aside. It's still right there in the forefront of, if we're going to do bike trail going in this way, we got to make sure we can figure an entrance that provides safe access. You can't put a bike path into, a railroad crossing, that is definitely, that's all part of the discussion of if we're going to move forward on this thing, they know that has to be included.
Okay, great.
and are we waiting and seeing on the Rag Shag too?
Yeah, Rag Shag is definitely more of a wait and see. That's a little more of a concern for me, because we all know that is guaranteed elbow to elbow. In that,
Mask. They'll be wearing a mask.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we're kicking around certain ideas to try to still do that in some semblance. But yeah, that's another one that's kind of going to be, and that's another, it's going to be at the end of October. We don't need a lot of legwork to advertise that one. That is going to be, once you get out to the schools and Facebook and, all the usual sites, we don't have to worry about attendance with that.
Oh yeah.
That one we have no problem. So yeah, we're working on that and thinking about that and thinking about potential, maybe some things to, figure out for that day.
And then just one more at the Stone House. Is that any update on that?
Nothing new on the Stone House, no.
Okay.
All right. So, any other random things? No. Other than that, that sounds pretty good. It's a good meeting. In that case, is there a motion to end this meeting and get on with our evening?
Guess I'll be the Ron.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's got to fill Ron's spot on those motions.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. Bob also wants to get out of here. So, motion to adjourn this meeting. Do a roll call vote. Bob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Eric?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
All right. And myself, yes, as well. So we are adjourned, gentlemen. Thank you so much. And we'll be seeing y'all, what do we say, the 30th?
Hopefully August 30th. I'm going to reach out to everybody and see if we can get a picnic in the park for the 30th for everybody at 5:30. So tomorrow I'll send out the dates and look for an RSVP by Monday so everybody can check their calendar, so we can get a date set and all that squared away. And maybe we can have a welcome to some new commissioners, even though there'll be no business talk at that meeting. No business talk. That's all social. But
did I miss who some names? Did I miss those names? I'm sorry. I know we adjourned, but
Brian Hillpole and JT, Jason Terrell from Little League. You were here for that part. Okay, that's just after. This is just
All right.
after. All right, thank you.
All right, fellas, we are
Have a good
adjourned. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.